everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. May the 4th be with you. It is May the 4th. It is Star Wars Day. In case you can't tell, I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan. So I've been very excited for this one for today and tomorrow. So even if you're not, I promise we've got some good stuff in here that I want to pull from and contrast with recovery, which is really fun. So for this weekend, today and tomorrow, I'm going to be pulling Star Wars quotes for our daily inspiration. So please don't let that have you shut the episode off. We've got some really neat stuff from here. I really like it, so I'm hoping you will too. And let's see if we can find some overlaps and some resonation here with recovery. Okay? Life is not without pain, but life concerns itself with how we handle that pain, or joy, or confusion, or triumph. Life is more than time passing before death. It is the sum and total of all we make of it. From Elagos Akla. I've found that what most people call luck is often little more than raw talent combined with the ability to make the most of opportunities. From Talon Carde. Yeah, I'm responsible these days. It's the price you pay for being successful. By Lando Calrissian. Many of the truths we cling to depend on our point of view. By Obi-Wan Kenobi. Your focus determines your reality. Qui-Gon Jinn. And probably my favorite, do or do not. There is no try. By Yoda. Yep, so I take a lot from these quotes. I think there's a lot of good power and direction in them. It's really fun. I want to make a shirt with this that just says Recovery Jedi, but unfortunately the word Jedi is trademarked, so I'm going to mess around with it or something, but so those shirts will be on the merch store at some time when I can make them. But that's something that I have a note on this daily to-do list I look through every day, and I have that saying for myself of be a Recovery Jedi, just to remind myself to keep a bunch of these perspectives when I'm getting up and getting organized to do my work for the day. And also my recovery work too, just because I pull a lot from this wording and this direction, things that they're talking about in here. So I hope you do too. I hope these things are standing out for you. This first one, I really like the perspective on that. I think that's such a big thing for us with addicts is we constantly want to avoid pain. That's the biggest thing for us is just shutting down emotion, but avoiding pain specifically is one that really stands out for a lot of us. And so I like how they address that and talk about that in this quote. Life is not without pain, but life concerns itself with how we handle that pain. And also the positives too, right? The pain or joy or confusion or triumph, right? So just that acceptance of life is not without any of these experiences or with any of these feelings. It's about what do we do with them? What do we do with these feelings or these experiences? How do we handle them? Life is more than time passing before death. It is the sum and total of all we make of it. For me, that language is so powerful because life and addiction is not life. Like when it gets bad enough and when we're starting to bottom and things make that turn for the worse, that's not life. That's not living. We're not experiencing anything. We're not showing up for it. All we're trying to do is avoid and numb pain as much as possible. And then everything else in our life focuses on how to get that next fix. And that's it. That's all it becomes. So just taking this much broader approach of just showing up for life, experiencing it. I mean, in recovery, not only are we able to and given this opportunity to do it again, because we're not living this life totally controlled by our addiction, we're also able to then start learning and developing skills to then choose how do we want to show up for this life? What do we want out of this life? What are we going to choose to take out of it? The lessons and opportunities for growth that we get based on these experiences instead of just playing the victim card and feeling like life is just going to happen to us and then that's it and we just get batted around aimlessly. Like that's very much not the case at all. And when we're in recovery is when we can be empowered to then be doing these things again and take this perspective and be doing this work. So that's what I really like about this quote and about that direction from it. And that's something that helps just inspire me and kind of keep my head on straight around this stuff. The sum and total of all we make of it, be it pain, joy, confusion, triumph. I really like the way that, I really like how this quote is written and just how they talk about these things, because that perspective is just, I found there's a lot of direct application to that in my recovery, and I find it really useful. The second one, over luck, is fun. I think luck's, that's a bit of a funny one. It's quite paradoxical, I think, just in general in our human experience. You know, and then addicts too, and there's always, oh, luck, and you make your own luck. And then that quote's really stupid, because if you're making your own luck, then it's not luck. Like that completely defeats the definition of what the word of luck is. So that makes no sense. So I've never resonated with that one at all. So this quote is kind of along those lines, but instead just offers another perspective of like this is what people think, quote unquote, luck actually is. And that's something that I really like that they talk about here. I found that what most people call luck is often little more than raw talent combined with the ability to make the most of opportunities. You know, and so I think that's a really good one to look at in recovery too, because a lot of us, especially in early recovery, we love to play the victim. We love to play the victim and, oh, all these things happened to me. That was so unfair. Woe is me. If all this happened to you, you would use too. All of that stuff. How do I have such bad luck? That's another big one too that comes out with this. And so I really like this perspective because I agree with it a lot. Luck's a funny one. That's another one I'm kind of wondering, or I don't know if I'm so convinced that luck actually exists personally. But so what they talk about here, luck is often little more. It's like luck is pretty much just raw talent combined with the ability to make the most of opportunity. You know, so that's another thing too that we can look at and think about on how our lives can change from addiction to recovery, and how you can look at and look in this past and see on how in addiction things were so much harder or worse not going your way, versus then in recovery have so many more things that are able to go your way and be more of a support and have more of a positive life experience and have all these perspectives and everything change, because you are now able to be actually using whatever talents and skills you may have, and be making the most of opportunity, whatever life is coming your way, because you're not like a slave to your addiction anymore. Again, right, when you're in addiction, everything is focused on getting that next fix. So any raw talent you have, if it's not supporting you getting your next fix, it falls to the wayside. There's no current use for it. We don't utilize it. And the only opportunities we're looking for are how to get that next fix. So that's how everything just gets focused on all of this. And then the rest of life just falls apart, withers away, because it's not getting any of this attention. It's not getting any of this energy. You're not using any of your talent or taking advantage of opportunity as nearly as much as you would, because you're only utilizing things that are focused on addiction. So being able to get a hold of all of these, just the talents that you have, and being able to see and be present for opportunities. You're not intoxicated. You're not missing out on life because of addiction. So now in recovery, you're able to be applying your raw talents and skills that you have. You're also in a much better position to be developing new ones and become a lot more teachable because you're in recovery now. And then opportunities are going to come because you're there and present. And hopefully, you know, if you're following a lot of other typical recovery suggestions, then you have a support system, all these other things in place, and people and communities and things in your life that you can be showing up to and being connected with. Therefore, opportunity will come, right? That's like just statistics at that point, right? So it's all that logic and straightforward, but just packing it up into this little quote of luck is really not much more than raw talent combined with making the most of the opportunity. I really like that perspective as well. And it helps, for me, it helps give me some confidence, because it's having this disease, that part of me is always going to work on battling that like low self-esteem or low confidence and like keep trying to grow those things more because my disease is always trying to throw this negativity at me and tell me these things. I'm able to then, like when I hear this, it feels empowering, Like, so when I'm looking at a situation, if I'm applying for a new contract or school or wanting to ask somebody out, whatever it is, just being able to just look at things this way of like, yeah, I've got the talent, I've got an opportunity here. What am I going to do with it? It's kind of like taking that power back. It's putting me a bit more in the driver's seat. And that's something that I just really resonate with. And that's something I really like out of that quote. That's a good one. So now, this next one, oh man. So for any of you who know Star Wars or don't, I think Lando is such a perfect character for the recovering addict because he was the professional criminal forever that then seemingly turns good, but you're not quite sure. And he kind of goes back and forth a little bit on skipping on like the good side and the bad side and all of that. Lando is such a friggin' addict, man. I relate with that character so much. So I think he's a great one. And this quote is fantastic because, yeah, think, right? These years of being this like infamous criminal. Yeah, I'm responsible these days. It's the price you pay for being successful. So that's another quote that I really like too when I think about recovery, because responsibility was something that I constantly kept letting fall at the wayside. And then therefore I was gaining little to no success. Like in those first early couple of years, when I was crossing that line from like dependency and heavy substance use into addiction, I was finding success and I was working hard and I was doing well in school. And then a couple of years later, then when I found my drug of no choice, then I started failing school. And then that's when that turning point hit. But so again, like we were talking about before on how as our addiction develops, whatever things we have that don't support our addiction and getting the next high, payoff, use, whatever, so to speak, then that just everything else, like whatever is not supporting that, falls at the wayside. We don't use it. We don't look for it. It doesn't matter. So any responsibility that wouldn't support me getting high, I wouldn't do. How can I be striving for some form of success when the success in whatever area of my life that may be isn't as big a priority as my addiction? How can I possibly be successful in that sense? And like some people, a bunch of people in recovery and they come into recovery much later after they've built a life of success and all of that. It's very impressive. I don't understand it just because that is not how my brain worked. I got sober when I was 23. Like my addiction was like falling off a cliff real fast. So hopefully there's some other folks out there working and teaching and talking more about that perspective and what that life experience is like, because I can't speak to it. But just these main points of responsibility and success and the connection of those two, I really like and is so important for us, not only as humans, but then also in recovery, especially just because, important in recovery. I think it's important in life. My brain just fried out there. What was I saying here? Just that it helped me understand the connection between those two because I was irresponsible and therefore had no success in my life. And then in recovery, the more responsible I try to be, the more success I'm able to build. Or then if the success comes first, then I understand the responsibilities that come with that to then keep that success or progress that success. And I want these things in my life now because I don't want to go back to the way that I was, living like an addict and all those horrible things that my life involved and looked like. Don't want any of that. Therefore, I am willing to be more responsible now. I'm willing to do more of this work to find that success, to build myself this better life in recovery. There we go. Turned it back around. I caught it. Okay, and then just a couple Jedi quotes here, which are great to be finishing off. I hope... no, nothing. I'm just loving this. Many of the truths we cling to depend on our point of view. Oh, man. So good. And this is a new ongoing topic for May. You know how every month we kind of find some hidden, just like subtopic that comes up, these themes that keep recurring in the readings? I think, yeah, this has been the one for May, is the perspective of there's no world, there's just 6 billion interpretations of it. And just this ability to then create our own reality and our world, and what do we choose to see, and what do things look like. This is another great example, quote, supporting that argument and that thought, that form of thinking. Many of the truths we cling to depend on our point of view. So, another thing I think of with this is that quote of, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. I love that one so much. I love that so much. All of these, and then with the last one, well, they're all there. The next is very synonymous with that. Your focus determines your reality, and do or do not, there is no try. Just all of this stuff. For me, like, this gets me going. This is all just such empowering language and supportive language that I really need for a recovering person, just to understand, now that I am no longer controlled by my addiction, I have so much ability and so much power now over my life and my behaviors. What do I choose things to look like or not? Oh man, it's just so empowering for me, just because in addiction I had lost control so fast, and I just felt like life was batting me around like a ping pong ball, and it just was going to look however it was, because all I could focus on or care about, or thought that the priority was, the only way I thought to get through life was just to use every day, and that was it. So hearing quotes like this, just as this reminder and understanding of how much more power I have to be able to make these changes in my life, and to make my life the way that I want, just feels so good. Like, that is just so empowering for me, hearing this language and incorporating this into my thinking, which then will help shape my behaviors, and which then leads to me building my life the way that I want, and a quality of life that I want. These are the skills. It's the application of this thinking, and, finding some confidence and some self-esteem behind it, finding some courage when I need to act in fear. Oh, just all of this language is so important for me to fuel that fire to be doing the work I need to do, originally to recover, and then to be getting that best life in recovery possible. Oh, boy. So, there's all of those things. And the last, and I'm going to finish up with this last quote, my fave: do or do not, there is no try. I'm going to sound like a bit of an old school recovery hard ass here on this one, but I firmly believe it. From all my years of experience in recovery and working with countless clients through this, I believe this to be true. Recovery, at the point when you discover that recovery is an option for you, that you don't have to keep living in your addiction, and then you hit that fork in the road of addiction or recovery. Do I use and act out? Do I not use and act out? Once you learn that this is a possibility for you, recovery now becomes your choice. It becomes your choice. So this line of do or do not, there is no try, I think is such important language for addicts to hear and to understand and to apply to their recovery. Okay? Every time somebody relapses, that's your choice. That's a choice. Anytime somebody chooses to step and walk away from recovery and goes back into addiction, that's a choice. That's not doing it. That's not doing recovery. Okay, and again, I know this is hard, and I'm not trying to beat down on you or attack anybody or anything. It's just to understand that once we know there's a better way and another path, every time you don't go down it is that choice. You are choosing to not do it, right? Do or do not. There is no try. As you've heard me say before on this podcast, the line of relapse is a part of recovery is bullshit. I hate that language, and we need to stop sharing it with people. It's not. Relapse is a part of addiction. Relapse is using. Okay, and so again, that's not to then shame you. It's to understand that the choice in that moment was not recovery. The choice was addiction, right? And so then when we talk about the daily reprieve concept, living 24 hours a day, one day at a time, all of these slogans talking about being present and living daily, every day. Sometimes if it's a hard day, moments in every day. You are constantly given this choice of do or do not, right? It says there is no try, okay? For me, what that does is that the thought of try then is that gives me an out, okay? As an addict, I love having an escape plan. My disease, one of the foundations of it is always have a foot out the back door. So whenever shit goes south, boom, I'm already gone. I've always got an escape plan. I've got an out. I've got an excuse. I've always had those in spades, right? Again, back to the earlier quotes, so I can be avoiding responsibility or dealing with life on life's terms, or when things get too much or not the way that I want, I can just bail and say, fuck it all, right? So then that concept when people say, oh, I'll try to stay sober today. I'll try to go to a meeting. I'll try to call everybody today. Somebody, like, do you hear all the bullshit in that? Like, it's all bullshit. It's all excuse. It's all setting yourself up for failure or for wanting to bail, whatever it is. So, very simply put, stop making that decision. Just stop. Do or do not. Do you want recovery? Great. Do it. No more excuses or whatever is in the way, whatever, do it. Okay? That's why there are support. That's why we talk about all these things of supports and therapy and treatment and home groups and sponsorship and aftercare. All of this crap, sober housing, all of these things, so you don't have to do it yourself. Okay? Recovery is an impossible thing for somebody to do by themselves. So we're not saying that and putting all the weight and expectation on you to know how to do all of this. Not at all. It's just making the choice to get up every day and say, I'm going to make today another day in recovery. I am not going to relapse. I am not going to live a life in addiction anymore. I'm going to choose a better way, and I'm going to live my life in recovery. And you make that decision every day or however many times a day you need to stay on track and stay in your recovery. And then I promise that things can get easier, and it can get easier. Life's still going to happen. You're going to have those challenges, but that daily crazy craving and white knuckling and, oh my God, how am I not going to act out today? That can go. And when people talk about the obsession to use of being lifted, I promise to you that can happen. It has happened for me, and I used to use every hour on the hour. It has happened for countless other people that I've met over my years in recovery. All of that can happen. Don't worry about the future so much right now. Just for today, make the choice to do it. Do recovery. Do or do not. There is no try. Lightsaber drop. There you go. I am finishing on that. Oh man. Woo. So there you go. May the 4th. There's today's coffee and contemplation. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed that and resonated with some of those quotes and can help give you some guidance on recovery. And you know what? I lied. I'm not done. Quick little fun bonus with all of this stuff is what I love about this is that recovery is so personalized, and it can be, so make it personal. If you're not a Star Wars fan, like, no problem. Find things that you do like and enjoy, and then incorporate that into your recovery. Everything doesn't have to always be all of the old school, super therapeutic literature. Any other forms of things you really like and enjoy, incorporate those back into your recovery, back into your life, right? It's just like, why not? It's so great. I've got a recovery coaching video on our YouTube channel called a top 5 exercise. So if you hear me say that and you're like, oh man, what does that even look like? I can't think of anything. Do that exercise. It's on our channel. That'll really help give you some direction on how to start doing that and finding something that works for you if Star Wars doesn't. If it doesn't, hey, I don't know what to say to you, but you find something that works for you. Okay, there. Now I promise I'm done. So in the description, whatever platform you're on, take a look. Please, we've got other ways that Spotlight Recovery can support you and ways you can support Spotlight Recovery. Okay, so take a look at all those links down in there. And I do recovery coaching. So if you're looking for some more direct support and one-on-one help through your recovery and want some help with all of this stuff, please reach out. Contacts in the description as well. And I'd be happy to chat with you and see if there's a way that I can help you too. Okay, so may the 4th be with you. Have a great day. Choose to live in recovery today and have a great day. And we'll see you again tomorrow.